Good day and a very warm welcome to the Hampton Hotel here in Donnybrook. We have a special guest today who we're going to interview over the next couple of minutes, probably 10-15 minutes, and talk you through with Mr. Peter Turley, who was an award-winning speaker here in Ireland. And we're going to learn some of the tricks of the trades in how he has helped other businesses out there perform better from a sales point of view. So, introduce you over to Peter. Peter, how are you today? You well?
Very good. Thanks for having me here.
No problem. Thank you for being here. We just wanted to find out a little bit about your show that's coming up on September the 30th, and probably what your show is going to be about. You might tell us.
Okay, well the good news is there's two shows.
Oh.
The first one is the show on the 30th of September, which you've asked about.
Sure.
Which we're going to take some of the things we've learned over the years and bring them to the beauty industry for the first time here and funny enough here in the Hampton Hotel as well. It's going to be a great morning, full of all kinds of interesting entertainment to help salon owners, to help people in that industry to pick up their game, to be able to sell more, to be able to help with their customer experience and really make their businesses better going forward. So we're really looking forward to that.
Brilliant, brilliant, and I'm sure everybody at home is probably looking forward to being here on the night. And just Terry, you've picked out the beauty industry for obviously a particular reason. How did you find the beauty industry, and why have you chosen this industry?
Well, look, I mean, we all go and get our hair cut and get our faces done and all that kind of stuff on a regular basis. And I suppose it was just from my own observations that I believe, through no fault of their own, a lot of people are leaving money on the table when it comes to the industry, especially that industry. Okay, so for example, yesterday evening I got my own haircut in preparation for this.
This looks lovely.
And behind me on the shelf were all the products, and they were all there for sale.
Sure.
I was never offered them.
Okay.
I was never told they were there. And I just looked at it as I was leaving. I spotted the shelf. And I thought to myself, with my business hat on,
sure,
how much profit could they have made from the haircut, and how much more could they have added to that interaction had I picked up a couple of potions on the way out.
So you've gone in there, you've had your hair cut, but you've left that business probably from a business perspective, acknowledging lost opportunity there,
yes.
A financial opportunity actually, which obviously helps keep business in business.
Yes. And I just thought, we could help with that.
Okay.
And we could see. It's been something we've thought about for a long time, and I've always felt needed a bit of a rejig.
Sure.
So that's what we're aiming for on the 30th of September.
Okay. And do you find that across the board with the beauty in general? Is that something that you've been observing over the last while? Is to go in and look at barbers, hair salons, makeup artists, and you're seeing this across the board then? And you
absolutely everywhere. Even to leisure centres.
Okay.
You go in, you pay for your swim, or you pay for your treatment or your sauna, whatever it is, and there's always shelves of stuff for sale, swimming costumes, you name it. They're never offered.
Yeah. And why do you think that is?
I think they forget.
Okay.
I think it's that simple. I think they forget that it's there because they don't have a specific process.
Okay.
They don't have training. They're not brought through a culture of training and improvement, and if you're not trained to think about stuff, you don't think about it.
And how can your course, probably just listen to you there from a training point of view, how can you influence companies and owners to take that responsibility and to understand probably what you're discussing there from a lost opportunity and lost financial? How can you make them understand?
Well, the first thing is to, I suppose, there's an old word I don't particularly like it, but we call it mystery shopping. I'm sure you've come across that yourself.
We do it all the time.
And what we would often do is go in, do a little bit of mystery shopping, have a look at the way we're served, take some notes on what we would like to see from an improvement point of view if it was our business.
Sure.
And then put a list together, and then go back and see the owner.
Sure.
Okay. Now there are ways, of course, you don't do the punch in and say you're useless, but it's how you present that, how you give that back, and when you have that in such a way, you can say, look, did you realise there are these opportunities? Did you realise that X could earn you such and such a year for 10 minutes a week?
Yeah.
Most people go, I never knew that.
Sure.
I never thought about that. So one of the things, and we've all done it. You have your own business, I have my own business. And we all, every one of us as a human being, get caught up working in our business rather than working on our business. And we get caught up trying to meet a deadline or get something out the door, whatever it happens to be, and we stop picturing the business from a height, if that makes sense. You know?
Yeah, so you're obviously bringing in a very fresh eyes approach to business out there, because as you know yourself, there are businesses that could be running for 3 years, 5 years, and they tend to lose the insight of where they once set off, you know, that direction and where they had to hit. We would find that as well, just from what you're saying, from a customer point of view, they forget, they get very relaxed. Obviously businesses, it's very competitive out there, and suddenly they forget the sales approach. Something we touched base on earlier on, you were talking about sales. It's almost, it was drilled into us in a way once upon a time, or it's gone now with the change. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, it's an interesting thing you bring up, because we've had this conversation a lot recently. We have that thing in this country, regardless of the industry. Did you know we have more startups per head of capita in this country on an annual basis than anywhere else in Europe? We also have the fastest initial growth of startups than any other country in Europe.
And how many of those are successful?
Virtually nil.
Okay.
Because here's the incredible thing. We have the quickest attrition rate of anywhere else in Europe.
Okay.
Now, countless governments and ministers for trade and all that have banged their head against the wall because of this. What is the problem that we have? Okay. Now, my personal belief is that there are two parts to this. The first one, and I think the most important one, is when somebody starts a business, they've dreamed about it for years. They get this idea, they lie awake at night, think, how can I make this work? How can I make this work? And eventually they take the plunge. They grab the bull by the horns or whatever. They take the plunge and they go out and about. They're running it from their bedroom or wherever when they start it, but they are selling it to everybody with passion. Because they're baby.
Of course, yeah.
The business grows and grows and grows, and then a day comes they can no longer sell it themselves because they're hiring somebody or they're firing somebody, they're putting out a fire, whatever it happens to be. So they say, there's the sales responsibility, I'll give it to someone else. But it's not that someone else's baby. They know to have the passion. So if you've sold your business based on passion, someone else comes in who hasn't got the passion, you need to give them abilities to make up for that passion. How many people do you know train their staff to give them the skills to make up for that passion?
I know for a fact in our business very little, to be honest. They start off talking about it probably from an induction point of view, and it fizzles out very, very quickly. That's something across from our board we're always discussing, is it's about implementing it and making sure that those structures are there continuously throughout the business. Because we find, like with business, and I'm sure that you find, and probably a lot of those beauty salons that you're talking about at the moment, there's a very high turnover of staff, and certain people that may have had the responsibility have moved on. So it's very important to really, that probably from a business owner point of view, that's the starting point. It's where it starts and where it finishes. Would that be right?
Absolutely. The first thing is putting in processes and strategies that make sense.
Absolutely.
There's lots of them out there we've seen that don't. That's the key bit. Okay, so that's your foundation. Without that foundation, nothing can happen. But as you rightly said, the implementation, there's no point in me giving somebody a book of instructions and they go, thanks very much, and put it on the table and walk away. Again, as you pointed out, we see it all the time. It's the implementation is the key. Now, when you have staff turnover, when you have all those things going on and emergency phone calls coming in and unhappy customers and complaints to be looked after and orders to be filled, the responsibility for the implementation gets forgotten.
That's correct, yeah.
Isn't that right?
That is right, yeah.
And then it's, I'll do it next week, or, oh, 2 people are leaving at the end of the month. Then we have to find 2 more people. There's no point starting the implementation till the new people come in. Then the new people come in and we say, but they haven't had the initial training yet, so now we can't implement it. And it just becomes one excuse after another after another. So what I believe and what I've tried to do to make it easy for people to implement this stuff is, instead of having lots of clients that I give the instruction book to, I have few clients, and I go into their business month after month, 3-4 days a month, and I actually implement it for them.
Oh, very good, very good.
So that the owner of the business doesn't have to worry about that.
And I think by just what you're discussing there, for me, it all helps improve company culture as well.
Yes.
You know, from a point of view, for example, should somebody decide to leave, they speak highly then of the previous employee that they worked for. That's something that we find within the industry. If company culture is not there or the structures are not there, you will always find them when they move on. So how did you get on with your last job? Well, to be honest, they didn't teach me this, they didn't teach me that.
Yes.
So effectively it can probably, in a way, probably affect your business as well, because I would look at staff in general that they are the ambassador of your business. The days of the customer, they are still to a certain degree, but it is the employee, and I think if you give them the tools from day one, they will exceed far greater than you ever anticipated without those structures to begin with.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. The old-fashioned word for somebody who worked in sales was a representative. That meant they went out into the world and represented your business. They were an ambassador for your business. Of course you'd want them trained to within an inch of their lives, so that they could represent you the best possible way they could. But yet, because we now live in a world of high turnover of staff, people say, oh, I won't spend the money on training.
Sure.
You know the old joke, don't you? The one about the financial controller who says, what if we spend all the money on training and they leave? And then the own business owner says, but what if we don't spend it and they stay? Right? Which is the worst? I can tell you which one is the worst. But it's that mindset. Okay?
Absolutely.
And if we can get people to start thinking with the right mindset, that mindset of growth.
And that's a crucial word you use there, which is mindset.
Yes.
Because mindset really is probably the basis of any business out there before you set out and you start. So making sure that mindset is really there to begin with, and there to continue on with.
Yes, and if that mindset is there from the top, and it's channeled down, and basically almost, as Richard Branson would say, he sees himself not as a company owner, but as a company cheerleader. And he makes sure that his mindset gets brought all the way from where his point is down.
Sure.
And that drives it. Now, how many times in your business life have you seen training where it's only given at the bottom, and it's never championed from the top?
Absolutely.
What happens to it?
It falls apart.
It falls apart.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the first thing, is the mindset, put in the structures that work, that travel downwards, and then everybody can get behind it. You're dead right, as you said too. People will go away and speak highly of an employer. I have lost count in the last couple of years of the amount of people that have told me they left a job because they weren't shown how to be the best they could be at it. They weren't shown that they could have a career path. Right? So the employers weren't investing in them. They weren't investing in them because they were afraid they would leave, like the joke we spoke about earlier. But
that is a fear, sorry, just when you say that they're afraid, that is a fear in a lot of businesses, where I always encourage business owners, teach them to be better than you. Because if they're better than you, you can drive the business better. But businesses in general seem to be afraid, in one sense, of giving them tools that will equip them too well for the world. Because as I said, they do fear them leaving. Look, it's a natural part of any job. You will leave, people will move on. But at least as an owner, or as a director, or as a leader, you know, you put yourself out there and you give them the best training possible, so that should they leave into the big bad world, a really good rapport of your business or your nature as a leader will come back to you, and 100 times over.
Yes, and it's really important. Also, you'll cut down on churn when you invest in your staff, because they feel valued. And they won't want to run away to someone who's going to show them that value. Okay, so that's a simple thing around changing the churn of staff. And also, here's a really interesting one. Why do you think most people start businesses?
Genuinely?
Yes. Yes, why do you think? Fundamentally, to make it simple,
you know what?
why do they start?
I really believe that Ireland has become, and I hate using the word, and I'm sorry if anybody else does use it out there, but entrepreneur and entrepreneurial. I feel we've fallen into this sort of very superficial world at the moment, and everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. And I think everybody loves the idea of being, I mean, I see kids today that have a coffee shop, or there's two of them that works in their counter, and they're the CEO of their own company, you know, and it's small. I think perception is everything at the moment in Ireland, and I think wanting to own something, and I think because everything is online and it's very easy to follow now, and kids are far more entrepreneurial today and smarter. I think that's the interest of owning your own business. I think they feel they have a place and they have ownership of something of their own. But
that's part of it.
You know, I think that's one part of it.
It's incredibly trendy at the moment to say,
Trendy, yeah.
What do you do, Lee? I have a startup. Right?
Well, no, I'm an entrepreneur. They don't even say that what you do. It's I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Without any foundation to it.
Sure, right? Exactly.
But the traditional reason that people started a business was so they could have a better life.
Mm.
Fundamentally, let's make it very simple, yeah? But how many people end up with no life because
Absolutely.
they're married to their business?
That's down to micromanagement then, really.
They micromanage the business. They won't train the staff to be better than them in case they leave,
Yeah.
which means they can't leave the business in the trust of the staff.
Absolutely.
I did not start my business so that I couldn't go on holiday leave.
Yeah.
And that's really
But it's your
important.
fault that you can't. And
Exactly.
this is great actually to hear, because I'm sure this is probably, I suppose, at the end of the day, what you're trying to get your message across to the owners in the beauty industry out there. Like, you can work smarter, or you can work smarter and not harder. And in order to get there, you have to understand how the sort of the cogs move in your business, but understand by empowering your staff,
Yes.
and equipping them with the right tools,
Mm-hmm.
can add huge value to your business. That in time you can stand back. But if you don't have those structures in place and you don't have a sales plan, then obviously the nuts and bolts are going to start falling off.
Oh, exactly. And even from the simple long-term plan, if you don't have a business that's sustainable without you, you can't sell it when it comes to return.
Absolutely.
Because nobody will want it.
Can I just jump in there as well?
Yes.
One thing that I do find out, and here's the other thing about by being in business and having the better life, or whatever that you said, I find that when people get into business, they automatically assume because they're the owner, or the CEO, or the whatever, they can step back and they have an entitlement. But the most successful guys, as you just said, as you mentioned some of the names, they have still never stood back from the business. And I think that's something that owners really need to understand as well. You have to apply yourself year after year after year after year, because when people keep moving, who's going to take ownership of that business? The person who started it.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing, you have a life. And you have a life that needs to be lived, okay?
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if St. Vincent's Hospital is 11 minutes drive from here, I guarantee if we went...
Did you find that on the way into it? It's very precise.
My father was in there not too long ago. But if we went down there, I guarantee you we won't find a single person coming towards the end of their life who said, I wish I'd spent more time at work.
Sure.
It's
totally true. Absolutely.
Right? And so we want to empower people to have processes, to have cultures of growth, that the business is being run behind their backs as well as in front of their faces, that the people feel valued that work for them, that they work hard as soon as the boss goes out the door, and won't down tools and take out the knitting or the bottle of whiskey as soon as he's gone out to a meeting, right? But to allow them to be the best that they can be.
Absolutely.
Along that, when they're doing their job, it gives them pride in their job.
Absolutely.
When they have pride in their job, they work harder.
Perform better. Yeah.
When they perform better and get rewarded for it and recognised for it, they continue to say, oh, if I can do that this month, what can I do next month?
Yeah.
Rather than thinking, what can I get away with when he's not looking?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there are lots of these little things that when we understand the possibilities that are around us, and secondly, when we understand the help that we can get to put those possibilities in place, it starts to make it easier to achieve that dream we wanted when we lay in bed dreaming up that business in the first place.
And say if I'm a business owner and I'm listening to this now, I'm at your show and I'm thinking, why do I need Peter Turley? Like, what, listening to it, I know my own business, yet my business is probably losing 1,000 a week, or, you know, but I'm too damn ignorant and too stubborn to really stop and listen. I find that with a lot of, you can find a lot of clients when you are doing consultancy, you find it very difficult to tell them where they're, not to say where they're failing, but where they need to improve in order to take their business from there to there. So can you talk us a little bit through that as well? That it's, you're not, I think you're not going in looking at business, you're saying you're failing here. You're showing them actually the light of, well, actually you're running a good business so far, but we can help take your business there just by implementing these new structures. And these are obviously things that you've worked on. So this isn't just off the top of your head, this is something you've probably applied yourself for the last 20, 30 years, making sure that these are literally waterproof.
Mm-hmm. Now, we do live in a society, and you and I talked about this before we came on air. That's not the way we do things. No. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, and how often do we hear those things? And very much that type of business owner that you spoke about will speak in that way. Sometimes it's fear of the unknown. Sometimes it's fear of doing some work.
Yeah.
Right? People don't want to work. And sometimes it's fear of success. Regardless, there's a fear factor in there.
Yeah.
Okay? And when there's a fear factor, we need to look at it in a very different way. And as you rightly said, if you walk in and go, you can, you should, you need to, this will be much better, people will push you away and close down. Okay? And this is something that every single person out there can start to implement from today with 2 words that changed my life.
Giving them.
What if?
What if? Yeah.
Start every single day with what if. Start every single question with what if. And when someone says, here's an idea, instead of saying that's not, say, what if?
Yeah.
Give it 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Then if it still seems stupid, throw it away.
Yeah.
But give it the 5 minutes it deserves.
Yeah.
When you start to think that way, opportunities will open up.
Yeah.
And that will lead to a change over time. But you've got to do it 26 times.
Sure, absolutely.
To get into the habit.
That's exactly it. And you know, there is a certain magic in your business when you actually know then that things are moving quite nicely and smoothly, because you can feel it. I always talk about, like, even in the bar and restaurant or hospitality, as a customer when you come in, you can have either a great night or a low night. I'll make an example. When staff are on top of their form, when they're selling and being rewarded, and when the energy is good, the atmosphere is electric in a bar and a restaurant. Customers don't understand that or understand why, but it's from the approach from the waiter, how they can, you know, sell to you, the music, everything just seems right, and you end up having a great night as a customer. But it really does come down to the simple science of making sure that the business is really working from every dynamic.
Yes.
Would that apply in probably the hair salons and the beauties as well? Because like when staff are low, energy can be low, sales can be low, the approach can be low, the experience from a customer point of view. As you said, you went in, you had a haircut, but they didn't approach it like about product or whatever, and that may be probably a point of maybe things aren't great, you know, for that worker, that they didn't feel the urge or the sense to want to make a sale to you or connect with you.
Yeah, well, they probably didn't know that there was an opportunity, and they didn't know there was a technique, or they didn't know there was a whatever. Right? Yeah. But I think outside of the beauty industry or whatever, I think in any industry, when things are going really badly, most people ask the same question or say the same thing when they're talking to each other during a moment's respite. And it's always this, I guarantee you've heard this a million times, there's got to be an easier way to make a living. How often have you heard that? Right?
I hear it every day.
Yeah. Now, but when things are going staggeringly well, what do people say? I love my job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And you never hear them say anything between the two, do you?
Yeah.
And I know which one I'd rather have every day.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't get out of bed this morning to end up at the end of the day, so there's got to be an easier way to do it.
Yeah.
So the dream is to be able to say we love our jobs.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It really
And
does.
if we could make it easier for at the end of every day somebody to say, I love my job,
Yeah.
then it was a day worth getting out of bed.
And it's tough to come in some days, as you know yourself, especially when you're in the service industry, to come in and say, I love my job, because dealing with the public can be one of the hardest jobs out there, because if they're having a bad day, surely the person in that's serving them may get the bad day. But we always talk about, again, in our business, and the reason I reference my business a lot is because we have a lot of synergy in, at the end of the day, it's service,
Yes.
sales. And I don't think it matters which industry you're in, because they really all tie down together, and they really have the same sort of ingredients.
Yes.
But we talk about pre-shift meetings, and I think that's very important. It's probably something that's not even in the beauty, but it's even that, whether you're the manager, whether you're on that 10-minute briefing before those doors open and it's showtime. You know, it's about really getting those, you know, even if we don't have the time for that full training, or we don't have the time, you know, as you were talking about, they get this mental block. It's even just touching base with their team 10 minutes before opening, just to clear that air and get them focused.
Yeah. Can you imagine a sports team playing at a high level in the Premier League or the Six Nations rugby, where they don't have a 10-minute briefing before going on the pitch?
Yeah.
Do you think that exists?
No, and that's it. And it should apply to every business, I think, really.
Yes, it should. But again, it's that thing where people just don't realise they should be doing it.
Yeah.
Okay? But if you can do that, you can generate the atmosphere, and you can get people going, we're going out there today and it's going to be a great day.
Yeah.
Even that simple thing can change the outcome. It can change the way people, their customers perceive them. It'll change the humour. It'll change the way they do their customer service.
Sure.
And all those things. And you know, that is a thing that's really important. And I know I've seen some of the stuff that you talk about, which is customer service, right? And I think we need to realise that we live in a society that is quite polar. It's either service relationship orientated or it's transactionally orientated. And if they don't implement stuff like we've been talking about, they'll try it once. Oh, we tried it once, it didn't work.
Yeah, that's it.
But you know, no, Usain Bolt didn't win the very first 100 metres race he went in. It took practice.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's just to know that we have it in, we need to implement it, we need to keep doing it, and we will win the 100 metres.
So Peter, look, before, I suppose, I'm going to cut you there, and I hate to do it because I could actually sit here and talk to you for the next 10 hours, but the show is not about me, and it's not about me learning from you. It's about actually the beauty industry and the hair salons out there that can really sort of learn from you. And just to wrap it up there, can you just, I suppose, in 2 or 3 bullet points, tell us what that night's going to be about, what they're going to learn, what they can gain for it, and what they can get from that night.
Okay, so, well, it's the morning. The Monday morning, the 30th of September. We've done that because that's traditionally the day of the week that those businesses are closed and can actually take time out and come to this. But we're going to look at the mindsets. We're going to look at the what if. We're going to look at some of the techniques that they can implement immediately, and we might look at some of the techniques that take a little bit of practice. But either way, every single person that comes on the 30th will go away with something under their arm that's going to make it easier to get to that business that they dreamt about before they took the plunge.
Brilliant. Sounds very exciting, and just by talking about it, I want to get back into business myself. Anyway, if you want to learn more about Peter Turley's show from September the 30th, please do get in touch. Peter will be very happy to answer any of your questions on the morning. Thanks a million, and we'll see you again. Thanks again.
Thanks very much.
Enjoyed it.
Now,